I want to thank the witnesses and just comment. I guess this is the best and worst of times from my perspective for this committee, that looking at the panel and the positions you hold are not something that I could have imagined when I went to college many years ago. So thank you for your vocations. I mean that with all sincerity, not your careers. Dr. Gay, I want to just mention last night I had a wonderful conversation with a dear friend who I started my friendship with at your institution. Gabby Giffords and I were both in state and local government. We went to that program, and it was a wonderful experience. And it was one of those examples of where academia interacted with the real world and the world of action. So I want to thank you for that. Dr. Nadel, I wanted to talk to you as somebody from the Bay Area and very involved with technology for many years about its impact on our public discourse, on hatred, on anti-Semitism, on racism. I'm reflecting on a Berkeley professor, Michael Goldhaber, I think. Let me check. Yes, he's the Cassandra of the internet, according to the New York Times, where 30 years ago he predicted that once people started to connect with technology, that the sociology of reality and knowledge would change. And I would say this hearing is a comment to that. So could you comment on social media's impact on anti-Semitism and hatred, both in academia and as you see it in your research?
Thank you for the question. Social media has been probably the most destructive force for spreading anti-Semitism ever imaginable, certainly in my own lifetime. When a pop star like Kanye West can put out a few messages that are anti-Semitic, and he has millions and millions of followers, and in the wake of that, Jewish students were also feeling terribly unsafe and insecure. And we have seen this over and over, and we have seen it harnessed not only from the left, but we've also seen it harnessed from the right. Social media and various chat forums, various different platforms were used to create the Unite the Right rally in 2017. And of course, the man who's been convicted of murdering 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue also posted on social media that he wasn't waiting any longer and he was going in. So it's been terrible.
And there's been so much really good research and writing on the subject matter in the last 10 years, where I'm thinking about The Shallows from Nicholas Carr in 2005, where his research shows that globally our skulls are actually decreasing because of how we retain and absorb information. So all of this on the educational side, and I'll ask, maybe starting with Dr. Gay, this is about the short-term political moment that we're in, but I'm equally concerned with, and I've had this conversation with the chair and the ranking member, about what you see in education, that our brains are changing because how neuroscience and everything we've learned because of research about how this works in the last 50 years. But until the Congress figures out how we roll in this committee, what is it doing to young people? In Nicholas Carr's book, in The Chaos Machine, Susan Lin, a distinguished member of your faculty, I just had a lovely conversation about her book, about who's minding our kids. I can't help but ask this question because it's part of the larger long-term problem that this committee really should be dealing with in a nonpartisan, thoughtful way. What do you see when it comes to cognitive development and your students?
So recognizing that I'm not an expert, particularly on adolescent development or on social media, but will share an observation, which is that one of the things that's been laid bare over the last couple of months is how ill-equipped the community is and has been to deal with dialogue in moments of crisis. And instead, what is substituted for that is the social mediaification of dialogue. It's intemperate, it's ahistorical, and just mean. And it's a way of engaging that has been deeply socialized through social media and is reflexive for a lot of the students on our campus.
Dr. Kornberg, just because I just finished a book, Reestablishing Conversation, by one of your faculty who talks about this.
Yes.
Maybe you can just briefly.
No, I agree completely with President Gay, and I would say that, social media is like a drug, right? It's addictive, and it reinforces over and over again messages regardless of their truth. And so as educational communities, we need to strive for making sure our students know truth and speak to each other as human beings.